Hello everyone, it's Paul and welcome to my Emerald Nightmare raid guide for Nythendra on Heroic difficulty. As you can obviously tell, Nythendra is a dragon and this is actually a two-phase fight. One phase where she's active and the second phase where she's laying on the ground taking a little nap. So this fight is actually what I would call a mechanics or competence check for your raid. Basically what's going to happen is there's going to be very few mechanics, simple tank swap, and it's more about positioning your DPS and healing output. But it's not necessarily a DPS check. It's just kind of like, hey, can you guys do a few simple mechanics and then move on in this instance. So real quick for my tanks, the tank mechanic in this fight is called Volatile Rot. One tank's going to get Volatile Rot. You're going to poop infested ground all around yourself. The other tank simply taunts and tanks the boss until the next Volatile Rot. The next major mechanic coming up is called Infested Breath. This will target a random non-tank raid member and cover a large portion of the room that they were standing in with infested ground. This will happen twice every time that she's active. This infested breath mechanic is actually why you want to split the room into either quadrants or thirds like we've done in this video. Just find what's comfortable for your raid setup and go with it. Just remember that the infested breath happens twice and you want to have at least a third of the room available for clear movement for the phase where she's actually taking a nap on the ground. The other two mechanics going on in this fight are called Rot and Infested. Rot will be applied to several of your group members throughout the fight. This will pulse damage periodically, I believe every 3 seconds, and cause them to poop these green patches on the ground when the debuff actually expires. So as you see, what we've done here is we've covered 2/3 of the room with green crap, and now she's taking her nap and lots of bugs spawn on the ground, some of which, like the one right next to me there, just got empowered, and they will pulse 3 times while all the slime is being sucked into Nythendra. So this is why you want to keep about a third of the room clear so melee and ranged have enough room to continue DPSing safely while avoiding these bugs. And honestly, that right there was all of phase 2. She sucked up all the green and we reset back into phase 1. So we reform over here on our yellow star, our raid loosely spread out so that there's enough room for the people that just got rot right there to run out and drop the rot debuff somewhere near the wall. Now she is a dragon, so she does actually have a tail swipe, but it's a pretty narrow comb behind her. And the reason why we're kind of tilting her off here at an angle is because she doesn't have a frontal breath. So this allows our melee to have that entire backside of the room where the entrance is to drop off their rot debuff. The other thing to be mindful of is that when a tank gets volatile rot, he will hit all of the raid, but the further he is away from the raid, the less damage they'll do. And as I mentioned before, the final part of this fight on heroic difficulty is a debuff called Infested. Anytime you take any sort of plague damage, that's green damage, not her auto attack, you will gain a stacking debuff that actually stacks infinitely and doesn't have a duration. These debuffs are actually cleared when she goes into her nap phase and finishes that phase. But when it stacks pretty high, it actually does do a fair amount of ticking damage, so you want to keep the raid loosely spread out. And make sure that people kind of avoid people that are running through with rot, and then the people with rot are smart about where they're running it out. Other than that, there's not a whole lot to this fight. You will lose raid members to awareness at the start of the fight while you figure out how to deal with the infested ground. It's also kind of counterintuitive because some of the patches don't spawn exactly under you, especially the ones from the volatile rot. So sometimes you do have to run through the plague on the ground, but you got to remember that every time you take damage from that, you're taking a stack. So make sure people are careful even if they're using immunity effects, because it does have adverse effects going later on in the fight. You'll see my debuffs actually clear right here when she wakes up from Heart of the Swarm. But that's it. I mean, there's not a whole lot to it. She will go through 2 Heart of the Swarm phases, and then she will increase the amount of rot that she puts out on the raid. I believe it'll just increase the count of players that receive the debuff by 1. And then she'll go through 2 more Hearts of the Swarm phases. If you do not kill her on the second, or rather the 4th Heart of the Swarm phase, she will wipe your tanks very quickly, and it will be a wipe. Just like this video actually is, because I forgot to record the kill. So I'll link the kill video from my stream down below. But this is actually a video of a 1% wipe, but it's nicer quality, so I've included it here. Beyond that, there really isn't much else to talk about for this fight. Just remember to find a comfortable strat for your raid's handling of the infested ground. and coordinate while you're at a lower gear level. Have your healers coordinate their cooldowns to recover later on in phase 1 when everybody's infested stacks are actually pretty high. It's also recommended that your tanks call out when they're about to pop that volatile rot so that healers are kind of ready to recover from that burst damage. And with all that allows me to kind of keep this and wrap this up nice and short. So good luck on killing Nythendra, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.